So as you guys know, I'm a track coach and a cross country coach. And during cross country season, I typically go on a jog with my team once or twice a week. And typically when I do, I'll jog about a quarter of the way with them, and then I'll turn around and I'll start jogging back, because while they're on like a 10-mile run, I'm only going to do a 2 or 3 mile run because I'm mostly a sprinter. But typically on that run back, I usually take the same route, and it's usually through a nice neighborhood over by the college. The college is in a nice neighborhood, and there's a lot of nice, little neighborhoods within that area. And so I always take that same route. And on that route, I've seen, people look at me weirdly. I've had people cross the street from me when I'm jogging back. But this one particular time, I'm jogging back, and as I'm coming down the street, a police car drives by me, does a U-turn, and stops in the middle of the street. Then another police car comes from this way, and they stop. And so they're kind of facing each other like this. And I'm looking at them, and I'm honestly thinking, oh my goodness, what's going on in this neighborhood, And so when I'm jogging, I always have my phone with me because that's how I keep my time. So then the closer I'm getting to them, I'm looking at them, and I'm realizing they're looking at me kind of weird, So as I'm jogging by, I kind of give them, kind of a wave, and they just both kind of look at me. As I'm jogging by them, I get by them, they pull up kind of close to each other, and they kind of talk for a second, and they both drive off. Well, being that I've been a coach in the area for 20 years now, I have a lot of former athletes who are police officers, sheriffs, and so forth in the town where I work. So I called one of them. Said, hey, man, I'm telling him the story of what happened and everything, Is there something going on in that neighborhood? And he's like, oh, coach, that was you? Someone called the police and said that someone was looking in their house while they were jogging by. A black guy was. And he was like, oh, my gosh, coach, that's crazy. And mind you, this former athlete of mine is a Hispanic guy. And probably once every year or so, we try to get together and have a beer together or whatever, right? And we talk about these things. And he's said to me so many times that a lot of times it's not just the police response to things, but it's the people calling. And there's been times where he's been called to, someone's house when they're like, just basically called the police because a black person was in their presence. And he'll say to them, so why'd you call? Well, the guy, he was walking down the street. Okay. People can walk down the street. And he said he's even sometimes lectured people like, you realize this is what gets people killed, right? And it was crazy because like I'm thinking I jog with my phone in my hand. I could have raised that hand and waved to those police officers, and that could have ended horribly. And we know the story of Trayvon Martin, what happened to him just walking through a neighborhood. You guys have probably seen the story of the black man who was bird watching in New York City, and the lady was walking her dog, and she starts telling him that, he said, you're supposed to have your dog on a leash or something like that. And she's like, I'm going to call the cops on you. And she's using it as a threat. Like she knows if I call the cops on you, you know what's going to happen. And there's been times where we've seen videos of white people saying to black men, I'll call the cops on you and you know what's going to happen. I think there was one video where the lady said, I'll call the cops on you and they're going to come in there. They're going to shoot you or something. Right. And so when I see this latest video of this young lady, she's jogging down her street, black man, rolls up to his own house, and she's asking him, if he lives there. And I want to say, before I show the video, I understand women jogging down the street and being afraid of cars approaching. I've made videos about this because it's happened to my wife. I understand that. That is not the issue here. The issue is not her being afraid. There's obviously things have happened to women, right? Jogging down the street, walking, whatever. We tell women to protect themselves, to be aware, and all those types of things. The video takes a huge turn with her lying, her continuing to lie, and then her apology after the incident which is not her taking any accountability at all and taking into context what has happened in the history of this country from Emmett Till all the way to Trayvon Martin to other black people and so forth and so on. So I want you to watch this video and then this apology that does nothing for her when you think about the history of this country.
We need to. What's going on?
Do you live here?
Yeah.
You do?
Papa.
I don't believe that.
What?
I don't believe that.
So what are you doing here?
Rory, come on. Rory, come on.
Hey.
Did someone come here?
That was my wife. Somebody chased her up here. And she had kids.
Who chased her?
She said somebody in a silver truck.
Gray truck, and he came
So
around the corner,
I don't
and
know if you guys have a
I was
read.
in the street, and so I come up, and I just have my kids, and so I'm like gonna pretend that I'm coming home, and so I pull up and I start walking to your back gate, and he stops here and he goes, "Are you looking for someone?" And I said, "Nope," and then he sat here, and I was like, "I need to get in."
Well, that's my husband. That's why he lives here. Yeah. He lives here. So he came in and he said there's a lady screaming. And I'm like, that's...
She got all worried that some.
Scared the crap out of me.
How?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
How did he scare you,
I
though?
had a feel.
I just seen her in the driveway and I was like, are you looking for somebody? Because I was pulling up out
And I
home.
saw someone walking in our driveway, too. And I'm like, why is someone walking in our driveway?
Well, I'm
Well, there
sorry.
we got it. All right, sorry.
What?
I don't.
She said that someone was following her. So you were walking from there?
You came this way, didn't you?
No, I came down this street right here.
Yeah.
And I was riding slow because I'm looking at our Christmas lights.
Well, you just have to understand my point of view. Being by myself with two kids, I just saw a car coming, and so I was like, oh, it scared me, and so I just pulled up here, and I kept thinking, this could be his house. But you didn't say, this is my home. You just said, are you looking? And I was like,
I did. When you was on the porch, you asked me, did I live here? I said, yeah.
And you said, no, you don't.
And you said, I don't think you do.
It was obviously you could tell that I was really caught off guard.
Like I'm pulling in my, it's like I'm pulling in my house. Like this is not, this neighborhood is probably one of the best neighborhoods in Ohio.
It is.
I don't,
That's why
you
was
don't have to worry about stuff like that.
Well, I'm very sorry. I really hope that you're not upset with me.
Come on, baby. Go in the house. Let's go.
You told me that I didn't. You said you didn't think I live here.
It was the way that you were talking. I was so caught off guard. I'm so sorry.
So she asked the man if he lives there. He says, yes, it's my house. She says, I don't believe you. And then grabs her kid out of her stroller, tells her other kid to run, and then runs down the street yelling help. Now, in her apology, you'll see this. The apology is very long, so try to cut up some pieces of it. But in her apology, she says she also dialed 911. So she's running from someone who's not chasing her, who's in his car talking to her at his own home, yelling help and dialing 911. And then she comes back with her husband, who, if you listen closely, he says to her at some point, just forget it, honey. Who cares? Let's get in the car. We don't need to argue with these people. So they're getting frustrated with the family who lives there for questioning them about why she was so afraid of this man who was pulling into his house and telling her, this is my house. And they expect these people to be more empathetic to her. She's like, you got to understand my side of things, you know? And he's like, you asked if it were my house. And then she lied. She said right there in front of her husband, I said, is this your house? You could have just said, this is my house. And he's like, yeah, I did. That's exactly what I said. I said, this is my house. So she lied about that. And then her husband is there, you know, to get her stuff and play tough. And then he's like, we're not going to argue with these people. And it's like, why should they, and in her apology as well, she's upset that they didn't, take her apology. So again, these are things that have gotten black men actually killed. Like, there's a chance that 911 call results in police showing up and this man having to, hands up and then getting harmed because she decided that she was afraid of someone because they were black. So here's parts of her apology, which you really don't hear an apology or accountability. It's a lot of her feeling like now she's the victim. Her tears, her experience was bad and it was awkward. And now she's the victim because she apologized 2 times and they didn't take her apology.
Did I overreact? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But I showed up at the door and I said that I was sorry 2 times. People are going as far as saying they're not genuine apologies, that I'm out to get them for whatever reason that is. I don't know how it could be twisted that way. I knew it wasn't going to stop there, but the Facebook page stuff was deleted. Not me ever asking for any of it to be deleted. I made a public apology to them through the video to a whole Facebook page of almost 500 residents in our neighborhood. And then I posted in the comments multiple times when people were just saying, like, disgusting and just tearing down our family's name. I once again came on and I said, if there's ever an opportunity to reconcile, like, I will. I'm so sorry I could have ever offended you. And so I've absolutely apologized multiple times. It's not been accepted.
I mean, the nerve of this woman to say that they should take her apology. And again, I want to make this clear. Her jogging down the street, thinking a car is coming up to her, I understand. She tries to go to a house thinking, I'll just pretend this is my house. The second you ask that man, this your house, which he doesn't even have to tell you anything, but he said to you, yeah, this is my house. And the fact that he pulled up, never got out of his car and threatened you in any type of way, the tone of his voice was not threatening at all. It's funny because she's saying things as if we didn't see the video. We saw the video. He's not threatening at all. He never gets out of his car during this interaction. So the fact that he tells you, yes, this is my house, you grab your kids and you take off running, yelling help, and then you dial 911 also? And then when you go back, you're upset that they didn't take your apology. And this entire apology is you saying, hey, woe is me. I'm actually the victim here. I've had some things happen in my life. And again, I understand trauma, but that is something that you should be working out. You need to be dealing with that. If you've actually had this trauma and you say it's on your social media and all that, you need to deal with that. This man told you, this is my house. He then says to you, he asks you when he pulls up, can I help you? Are you looking for someone? At no point did we hear him sound threatening to you. And now you're on this, she goes on this live, gives this apology, and then says, they didn't take my apology. And now they're saying I'm a racist. Woe is me. Again, your apology would be better if you saying, I didn't understand the gravity of me claiming that a black man who was pulling up to his own house was chasing me. And then I dialed 911 and I didn't realize or didn't think about the fact that these scenarios have resulted in black men being killed. And so I completely understand why this family feels the way they do, because they're just a good family who was just trying to live. This man was minding his own business and I overreacted and I shouldn't have done that. And my apologies to this family, and I will do the best that I can to better myself and to educate myself on these things so that I don't ever react that way again. But instead, it's you saying, I'm the victim here. They wouldn't take my apology. My goodness. There is not a black person in America. I shouldn't say that. There are not many black people in America who haven't dealt with these type of scenarios, and it's absolutely scary. And there is history with it. And if you don't understand that, that is a you problem and not an us problem. Period.
Don't want no enemies or ops. Envy envy in they heart, I tell them stop. Vacation on the yacht.